Shall we begin?
You aren't stuck in traffic. You are traffic.
Let's begin now.
Please get that bicycle-shaped object out of this shop. Oh no, dude. No mix and match here. Black bottoms or full-on kit. Pedal on, bro. Pedal on.
Let's begin now.
Oh, geez. Learn the hard way. Wider is better.
Today is Friday, March 8th, 2019. You're just downloading or listening to Bike Shop CX. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading, everyone. Music I'm using on today's show is Be Jew by Philly Run, as always. All right, what are Mr. David Palin and I going to talk about this time? Last time, we promised that we would do some Campagnola shifter talk, and that's what we're going to do this week. We're going to talk about Campy shifters, specifically a 10-speed Ultra Shift on a record. If you're tackling that problem, we had some of our fellow podcasters having issues. So, yeah, we're going to go through that. Not step by step. I'm just going to give some overall things to think about if you're going to tackle this problem, what to look at, what are the couple of the common problems, and just ways to go about getting ready to do it so that when you do it, you don't get lost or confused or anything like that. So that's what we're going to do. Only a couple listener questions this week, which is expected. It's the off season. You know how that goes. That and what are you working on? Keeping the show short and simple and to the point this week. So, yeah, that's enough of my yapping. Let's get on with it. The Bike Shop is open. All right, we are back for another edition of
Bike Shop CX.
Why are you whispering?
I don't know. You used to say how I was clipping and topping things off before. Now I'm just trying to keep our new board under control. Let the new board get used to me.
We are using a new soundboard, everybody. So, if you hear anything, any sound complaints, send them to bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
Bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
With me, as always,
Mr. David Palin.
What's going on, man?
Oh, man. It's only been 2 weeks, but it seems like forever.
I know.
Since we've been sitting here at Bike Shop CX headquarters.
This time of year, we don't tend to talk during the week as much.
No, we don't.
Because we're just doing stuff and getting ready for spring, and it's actually supposed to start warming up here. I know we've talked about the weather the last couple times, so we want to let everybody know it's finally starting to get into the high 20s.
Yeah, we're getting on towards mud season, as they used to say in Vermont.
What else is going on, Mr. David Palin? Anything? I'm just trying to think. We just did what is the name of Bill's show now? I can't even remember. Cyclocross Radio.
Yes.
I think that came out yesterday.
That did. I listened to it. You guys sounded great. The new soundboard there, obviously coming through.
Coming through a little bit too good in some point.
I wasn't going to say that.
But yeah, that's cool. We did that yesterday, and now we're doing this today. We're going to talk about our tech topic for the day, as promised last show.
Yes.
Is Campy 10-speed shifter discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through. I don't know if many people probably saw the Instagram picture that I posted of the old broken part,
right? The
paddle, and the new reassembled shifter. I'm not going to go through like I did last time, step by step by step. It's just too much of a visual thing to do on a podcast, an audio podcast. But I'm going to do some tips, things to think about if you are going to tackle this, places where you might run into problems, and just good things to do.
Coach Tim should send his shifter to you and not rely on us to walk him through the whole thing.
He should send his shifter to me with a nice fat check.
Yes.
And then no, I'm just kidding. No. Tim, if you did send it to me with the part, I would do it for you.
Yes, and a bag of Grimpeur Bros coffee.
Just send me return postage.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. All right. And the part.
Right.
Yeah. This is what we do for our brethren on the wide-angle podium.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, you mentioned coffee. What are you drinking?
Today, I set aside my full schleck and went with "Hello, cyclocross friends" in honor of the show that you and Bill did yesterday.
Nice. That's nice. Yeah, we're talking about Grimpeur Brothers coffee. If you get a chance, you can either go to wideanglepodium.com or you can go to Grimpeur Brothers.
Yeah.
Both have links to where you can buy both the full shellac or Hello Cyclocross Friends.
Yeah.
Both buying either of those helps support the network, and we just really appreciate it.
Yeah. And you should buy a bag of each to compare them.
Yes, of course.
It's the least you can do for yourself.
And they're both really good. You won't be disappointed. So
Yeah.
get on over there, help out our cause if you can, and we appreciate it. I know Dan appreciates it. So
Go on the website.
have you seen the thing he wrote about how to prepare?
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So if you go to wideanglepodium.com, Dan has sent us, or sent you, our viewers, through the wideanglepodium.com website, his guidelines on how to brew the perfect Grimpeur Brothers coffee.
How do you like that?
I like it a lot because I found out I wasn't doing it right.
What were you not doing right?
I was not blooming properly.
That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting for my growth spurt, and evidently the whole blooming thing I don't have either. I don't understand what it is about growing stuff and me and blooming. Someday.
One of these days you'll get that all down.
I will. For sure. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Mr. David Palin, question.
Yes, sir.
What are you working on?
So there's a couple of things I'm working on. First, in the bike world, I'm working on bringing bikes over here, and you're going to talk, I'm sure, about what you're working on after I say that I was just transport here today, bringing some bikes over to Scotty D.
Yeah.
Also, it is that time of year, where, as we like to call it, a
Cyclocross is coming. Season is coming.
season. Yes. It is that time of year where the cyclocross preseason is kicking off and people are starting to do their crit training and they're learning to race their bikes on the paved roads. I've been putting a lot of effort in with the Ann Arbor Velo Club.
Cool.
Helping them get their spring training series going for the year. That is coming up in April, the Sundays of April.
Gotcha.
And anyone, and I'm putting, when I say anyone, I am including our wide angle podium brethren, Doug and John from Gravel Lot, who are looking for how do I learn to get some confidence in racing. Come on up.
Are they thinking specifically road racing or just racing in
Crit
general?
racing at that. Yeah.
Even better. Perfect.
Yep. This is how we have our beginning racer course, the BRC. That's a USA Cycling approved kind of program. It goes through 5 weeks, starting every Sunday that the spring training series, I think it's Ann Arbor springtrainingseries.com, or just look up Ann Arbor Velo Club and Spring Training Series. You'll find it.
Right.
They have the beginning racing program. I prefer to call it the beginning riding program for people that just want to be more confident on their bicycles.
Yeah.
Even if you have no intention to race your bicycle, come and learn how to handle your bicycle in a better fashion.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is the spring training series. It is the ideal place if you want to learn crit racing. I mean, I don't know of a better way to do it than that, right? I mean, talk about low pressure, right?
Yep.
And you're in with a bunch of other people who are learning. It's like you're not thrown in with a bunch of people that are men or women that are experts at this.
Right.
Right. You guys are all kind of learning together. It's very, so it's as safe as it can possibly be.
Yeah.
I think for somebody who really the times that I've gone and watched and helped fix bikes and stuff is really, really, if you are interested, if you're starting from like zero even.
Yes. Yep.
And want to get into crit racing, this is the way to do it. I mean, there's just no question about it. So, and any level, I mean, you can be a little bit better than zero, and still come and learn a ton of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the Ann Arbor Velo Club's big things every year, right? I mean, it's
30 plus years in counting now.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a big part of what the Ann Arbor Velo Club does as far as getting people into cycling in general, and specifically, this is their crit. Just like CX Pre-X is kind of the cyclocross version of this.
Exactly.
This is the crit racing or just road racing in general. Road
low
skills,
pressure,
I
road
guess you could
skills.
say,
The first race of the day is the beginner's race. in that race, they actually have the coaches from the beginning racing program.
Mm-hmm.
They go out with vests on to identify them, and they'll be implementing and getting into the race to give people pointers or to help everyone stay safe. Highly, highly recommended. Again, mark your calendars. It's April 7th, April 14th, April 28th, May 5th, and May 19th this year. Again, springtrainingseries.com.
4 or 5 weeks?
That is 5 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It skips, I think, Mother's Day maybe, and
What is? Yeah, there was one. What is
Easter.
it? What does it cost?
it is not very expensive. As I'm looking through here, I should have that. I'm sorry. I'll hold on just a moment here.
It's not much.
It's
comparable. It's for the amount of like racing, quote unquote, racing time you get and instruction you get. It's very minimal. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can bring that to people. Tell people that at a later date. Next time. My internet connection way out here in the boonies is not working the greatest today. So
I noticed that. Was there a kink in the line somewhere? What's going on?
the tubes are kinked. So
Okay. So
yes.
that means I need to turn it over to you, Scotty D. Tell us.
What am I working on?
What are you working on?
I just did. This is pretty cool. Besides the bikes that you brought me today, those will probably be what am I working on for the next time.
Okay.
I was just doing a overhaul of a 90s era mountain bike for a guy. This is kind of cool. This is through the co-op, right? He wanted this specific bike. It's a giant, I don't know the model, but it's 90s era. It has a inexpensive front shock, which is kind of blah, but whatever. Linear pull brakes, but a solid aluminum frame,
Yeah.
So not too heavy, threadless steer tube, so it's that kind of era. With linear pull brakes. It has a mount for a disc on the front fork, but no disc wheels or anything. And pretty standard stuff. But he wanted a bike. He wants to ride this, get more into riding. He actually got in someone hit him with a car, not on a bike, while he was walking actually. Yeah, and he had to have these surgeries, and he can't, he's just really messed him up. So he's trying to get back into this. So, but he didn't have any money to buy this. So he comes to me because he knew I was interested in records and vinyl, right? And he's like, "I got these records. Would you be interested in?" I'm like, "Well, sure. Do you need money or something?" He's like, "Well, I want to get enough money to buy this giant over here." So we just gave it to him at basically what our cost would be to overhaul it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I bought records off of him. Enough. He sold me enough records, and he's not listening. I don't want to make it sound like he's selling off his prized records.
No, he's sitting in the dark listening to nothing.
No, these are records that were in his closet and have been in there for 20 years, and he hasn't played them. Right. So, he's like,
so you're helping him clean up.
Yeah. So he's like, I'll sell you. So we sat down, we went through the record databases, looked up how much they were worth together.
Wow, yeah.
So we knew what they were kind of going for. I paid him that amount for them. He got enough money to actually a little more than he needed, and now he has the money and he's bought the bike, and I just delivered it to him Wednesday, and now he's got a bike.
Wonderful.
How
cool is
and
that?
I got some cool records to listen to.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And that's kind of combining a few of your real passions right now.
Right. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, that was the last thing I was doing at the shop on Wednesday, and yeah. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Combining the vinyl and the cycling. But next time, what are you working on?
Yeah.
Oh,
tell me what you're going to be working on.
Mr. David Palin just brought over 2 bikes.
Yes.
From Dr.
TB.
Dr. Tracy Berman brought her bikes for me to do overhauls for.
Yeah.
And so people need to understand how important Dr. Tracy Berman's commuter bike is to her.
She doesn't entrust that to just anyone either.
Right, exactly.
Because it is indeed, they're a 1-car family.
Yeah.
Without that, she's walking to work.
Right. She commutes on it. Well, she told me if something happened or I didn't get it done before she gets, I think she's on vacation or something.
She's traveling for business.
Yeah. So I have a week.
Yeah.
But if I don't, she still has her cross bike that she could commute on.
One of two.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but,
She's coming by the shop later today.
But fenders on a commuter bike can be important.
Yeah.
So it's, she needs her bike back with the fenders and stuff. And her tri-bike. I'm excited. I'm going to get to overhaul her tri-bike too.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
So that'll be next time probably on What Are You Working On? If I have them done. All right, Mr. David Palin. Well, hey, do you have life insurance?
I do. Yes, indeed, I do. How about you?
I do have life insurance, but if you don't have life insurance, what you should do is get on over to healthiq.com.
Healthiq.com.
Not wide angle podium, WAP, which stands for wide angle podium. So just so you don't forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Healthiq.com/WAP. Get on over there. That is Health IQ, of course, and it is life insurance.
It's not health insurance.
It's not health insurance. It's life insurance, as Slack often reminds us.
Indeed, it does.
It is life insurance, and you can get it at an incredible. If you're a cyclist or an active person in one of many ways, take the survey. Mm-hmm. You score elite. Boom.
Bingo.
As some of our viewers have done in the past, you get a great reduced rate on your life insurance. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And
they don't just use the standard things that so many other actuarians and insurance companies were looking at. They look at data such as
things that in a really fit person, there's certain parameters. So I used to do this all the time in my previous careers, right? In case people don't know, I worked in the dialysis industry, and I would calculate different things all the time, right? And you have all these different standards of things, but that will, in certain people, like athletes, some of these numbers that we use and these things that we use would be skewed because maybe they have a higher muscle mass, for instance, in one. So if I look at certain lab values, and it's a well-trained athlete or something, certain things can be higher or lower just because they have a unusually high muscle mass. Right. So Health IQ takes these kind of things into consideration. Things like weight can be skewed, obviously, right? If you have a high muscle mass, your weight can be higher than what is considered quote unquote normal. So they use things like BMI instead, right? Right. Which is body mass index, which takes all that stuff into consideration. It gives you a more accurate view of, is this a healthy person? So things like that, healthiq.com/WAP. Go check it out. Fill out the little questionnaire. And if you don't score elite, I like to say this, Mr. David Palin, then there's a great fitness goal.
Yeah, indeed. That's a good point. Yeah.
Use the survey as, okay, I'm gonna try and get to the point where I can improve some of these things on this survey, and I can use it as a fitness goal. But most people listening to this show will probably score elite anyways. Right. So it's not that difficult. So get on over there, check it out, healthiq.com/WAP. They've been a great supporter of the network, and we really appreciate them being on.
How great it is that they are back. They were one of our first and long-time supporters.
For sure.
They've tried other things, and now they've learned. Wide angle podium is the place to be.
The wide angle podium is where it's at.
Bike shop bump.
So, Mr. David Palin, last time on the last show, we promised people that we would talk about Campagnola shifters, specifically
broken ones,
specifically 10-speed shifters. And do you remember? I'm holding for the viewers.
That's not the same one. The one you had a broken lever.
What? Yes, as you can remember, last week this was broken, and now it's fixed. Let me see if you can. Can you hear this?
There's only 9 shifts.
On a 10-speed shifter, there should be how many shifts? 9. Yes. So this is working, and that's also. And people probably know this. It's very hard to shift a shifter when it's not connected to handlebars.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you got to use both hands and grab it, and you tend to overpress the thing. So, I believe what was Tim from Slow Ride and Little Guy in the past have both had Campy 10-speed shifter problems. Right.
Well, we would expect that from Tim.
I don't understand.
But Little Guy, man, he takes good care of his equipment. He knows what he's doing with his stuff.
It's so easy. I don't understand it, guys. Why are you having so much trouble with this? But I'm going to talk about the overhaul process. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm not going to go through step by step. Okay, now unscrew this. Now take that out. Right. What I would recommend, so this is a Campy record, 10-speed, ultra. What I would recommend...
My understanding, I can't interrupt because I just did.
That's okay.
The process is going to be the same, if I'm not mistaken. Record, Athena...
Yeah, chorus. Yeah, it just matters if it's the different kind of shifters that they make, right? The power shifter and the ultra shifter,
right.
and all those are slightly different as far as the anatomy goes.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was going to say is, just go check out the Campy videos, right?
Yeah.
Go on the Campignola website. There's all kinds of videos on how to overhaul these. Match the one you have with the videos that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I don't understand this either, man. People always make fun of, I'm going to go watch it on YouTube and then try it myself. It's like, yeah, because those are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, the overhaul video for this shifter is 6.5 minutes long. It's not a big time commitment.
No.
It's straightforward like that. And I'm going to talk about some pitfalls.
So you have to see if you can complete this segment in 6.5 minutes or less.
No, I'm going to cover some pitfalls that you might encounter when you're doing it. But if you watch the video, that's a good way to do it, right? You're not.
Sure.
Your shifter's probably broken anyways. You're not going to make it worse. Probably, right?
Yeah. Either way, it may end up with a trip to the bike shop.
Sure.
To either have them do the rebuild or buy a new one.
And that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
No, it
right?
wouldn't.
I mean, nobody's really
Bring baked goods.
Bring baked goods, and off you go. This. What was I going to say, Mr. David Palin? I totally forgot.
You're going to tell me how to start the rebuild process. I thought.
No, there we go. I'm messing with the quick release here. He's trying to play. We have this new fancy thing, but anyways, well, no, I know what I was going to say. I've actually rebuilt this shifter before, and it kind of worked. I mean, I improved it a lot, but I still wasn't loving it.
Sure. And obviously, this time. You had to do it because the lever was broken.
The paddle was broken. Yeah.
What was the problem prior to the broken paddle?
It wasn't holding all the shifts before. So one of the common things, the thing that fails most often on the Campy shifters is what's called the G spring. Okay, there's a spring inside of these, and you'll kind of know it when you see it because it looks like a curved capital letter G.
Okay.
You'll know it. I mean, there's several springs inside these, but you'll know the G spring as soon as you see it because it looks like the G. And it's typically the thing that fails most often on the Campy shifters. And so what was happening as a result is it was missing shifts. So anyways, I replaced the G springs. I replaced a few other parts. Nice thing about Campy shifters is, man, you can get every single part in this thing, I think, about. Even the levers themselves, the brake levers themselves. You can get. So anyways, you can kind of, in a way, if you're going to overhaul it for any reason, just get new G-springs and put them in.
Sure. If you're going to have it opened up.
If you're going to have it opened up and do it. So I did all that. But what I think, the reason I don't think, and now this thing shifts like butter. It really feels good. And what I think was going on is I think the paddle... Last time I did it was probably cracked.
Oh, so you're getting some
because the place this broke for people. I don't know if you saw the picture on Instagram. Is way up at the top, right?
Not a place where it would normally take contact or something like that.
Well, I think I just visually didn't notice that it was cracked, and what was happening is that was cracked. It wasn't a solid press.
Right. So you're getting flex out of the
flex in the paddle, and that was kind of screwing up the shift before, because now it shifts wonderfully.
Yeah.
It's great. So first thing, another tip is you have to remove the hood. So just take the hood off.
Yeah.
Right. Don't try and do this with the hood on. It's a pain in the butt, but just get the hood off.
And another good time to look at, hey, does that hood need to be replaced? And
sure.
Why not?
People, just like bar tape, I don't know why people run their hoods forever.
Yeah.
It's like they're inexpensive. They make the whole bike look fresh and new. There's
a lot of people don't realize that you can buy replacement hoods.
You can buy replacement hoods.
It's similar to bar tape, as you're saying. You can get them in all different colors,
you
too.
Can get, right.
You can
hoods,
accessorize.
I think it's Hood's brand.
Yep.
Hoodz. You can get, you can match the picture of the one you've got and pick a color if you want, and So yeah, take the hood off, but also take the clamp off too, where it connects to the bars.
Right.
Just take it off, get it out of your way. I like to use an Allen key to hold this on that back side a little bit. The first thing you got to do then is take off the brake lever itself, and that's just a pin that
pivot point
that's pushed through there. So you're going to need a flat punch, not a sharp punch, just a flat end punch, and tap that out, and boom, and then you're on your way. Then you kind of have the guts exposed. The first thing, if you notice, Mr. David Palin, this little black cap right here is just kind of pressed down. I'm working on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like if you see, people think this is a lot more complicated than they actually are. If you see, right, like that,
bingo.
Yeah, it just slides right out, and you're right in the guts.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. A little star bolt there.
Yep. A hex bolt that takes off the washer, and you have like a coiled up spring is the first thing you see. So, the other thing I wanted to mention, we talked about springs. It's very easy when you're doing this, and this happened to me the very first time I did a Campy shifter.
Yeah.
This exact thing happened to me. You get excited, right? Because you start to see, you're like, okay, yeah, I see it's right there, and all I got to do is take this screw out, and then that spring will come out, and then I can get right to where I want to fix.
Yeah.
And what you don't notice is where. Anytime you remove a spring, especially in these shifters, make sure you take good note and even take a picture.
We talk about that all the time.
Take pictures with your phone. It's so easy nowadays. Make sure you are aware of where both ends of the spring are.
Yes.
It's so easy to see a spring. You see the one end, you grab that with the needle nose pliers or whatever, you pull that out. And you didn't really pay attention to where the other end of the spring went. Then you go, which is fine. You're okay. You fix what you need to fix. You start to put it back together, and you're like, oh, not crap. I know this hooks on this, but where the hell did this other end of this
that's
go?
A good point. Yeah.
So anytime you remove a spring, make sure you completely understand where both. Another place this happens is in linear pull and cantilever brakes.
Yeah.
People don't pay attention to maybe what hole the spring is in, if it's a multi-hole one, or just where any of the coiled springs. Find both ends of that, pay attention to that, take a picture of that, and it will really help you doing any kind of rebuild or whatever.
Yeah, and another little not safety, but like convenience tip, shall we say. Have on your bench, spread out a white rag or a white towel or something.
Yeah.
So that as you take these things apart, and little pieces may fall, they're not going to roll off of the bench.
Right.
And you're not going to lose them in the darkness of the bench. Right?
Right. Exactly. Another thing is I like to get, as you disassemble this, and you'll even see it in the video, lay it out in the exact order and even the exact orientation if possible. So that's not always possible because things won't lay the way they did inside the thing. But in order of the way you disassembled it. Another really good thing with parts this small, I did this when I used to overhaul carburetors. Because carburetors are tons of tiny little parts.
Yeah, those little springs and the butterflies.
An old egg crate.
Oh, great idea.
So
great idea.
You have you have compartments in a line, and you can put one piece in every single compartment.
Sure,
you can even write a little number in the bottom of the compartment so you know the order, and use that as something to hold. And then if you get interrupted, the phone rings.
Yeah,
your spouse calls you from another part of the house. You can.
How big a house do you have?
You can close the lid, right?
Yeah,
and it's relatively safe. So it's a good way to do it. I like having some of those in the shop. Period. Yeah, the biggest problem with doing the egg crate thing is when you aren't doing a project and it's sitting there. It tends to fill up with lots of stuff, right? It's like
it's like the junk drawer, right?
Yeah, you get some like part from some manufacturer, then they send you a few parts in case you're assembling it one way versus the other. So you have these extra screws and extra, and it tends to be a collection of those.
Yeah. Then you need to either empty it out or get another egg crate.
Get another egg crate, put it back in. So there you go. the other thing I wanted to mention, on the Campy shifters, right? You got the thumb shifter, right? Like it or hate it, love it or hate it. Personally, I love the thumb shifter.
I know you do.
When you take this out, one of the things, really watch the videos closely for the way it happens to be a guy that's doing this. The way they move things when they take them out and put them back in. For instance, the thumb shifter specifically. The thumb shifter mounts on one end is on a spring, obviously, because this thing returns when you push it, and then it returns. So there's a spring in there pushing it back. But there's like the inside of the thumb shifter on the Campy shifter is like a round plate that thumb tab is connected to, and that round plate, it's about the size of a nickel, much thinner than a nickel though.
Like a dime.
It has a tiny little, it's as big around as a nickel, but as thin as a dime. And that plate has a little hole in it, and that hole is what holds that return string for the thumb shifter. And when you put that in, you have to actually put it in from the side, put the hole over the end of the spring, and then you have to rotate it as you put it back in.
Right, to engage the spring.
And you wind up the spring, and then you got to hold it with your other hand while you put one other piece on, and then finally you get it anchored in there. So just pay attention to stuff like that. Because you could just set it in there and you're like, hey, wait, this got no tension on it, blah, blah, blah. It's because you have to get that spring on there as you're rotating and putting it in. So just pay attention to every movement that that guy assembling these in the video makes, and you'll have much better luck, much better success. Also, on this paddle, there might be some hidden parts. So really pay attention to, for instance, this little round part on the broken one, right? These little circle things that go over, this is where it rotates.
Where it attaches.
Right. On both sides of these is a really small flat washer. And when you take the old part off, guess what those washers do?
They fall.
No, they stick to this.
Oh, they stick to the
old part.
The old
so
part.
It's easy to take this out and go, okay, I don't need that anymore. And then you put the new one in, and guess what? You forgot to add.
Too much space.
You don't have the washers in. Right. So pay attention to that. If you take something out and you're replacing it, make sure everything is off it that needs to be off.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's just kind of another thing to pay attention. It's almost like I'm speaking from experience with that.
I always assume that whenever you do it, it's done right the first time.
Yeah, no. That is not the case. Not the case at all. So
here's our opportunity to learn from your mistakes. It's one thing to learn from your own mistakes, but when you can learn from somebody else's mistakes, even better.
So that's basically my recommendation. If you're going to do this and you have questions, where should they send them, Mr. David Palin?
bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
That's bikeshopshow@gmail.com. All right. Anything else that you can think of that we need to talk about?
Nothing else that I can think of. Just be careful out there. If you do it and you want to send us some pictures of either your success or your mistake that you want to learn from, send it to us at bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to see anybody tackling this and see how you did and how it came out. So, all right, Mr. David Palin.
Yeah.
Do you want to do some questions?
Yeah.
We have two really good questions. What kind of questions? I'm going to read the first one.
You go.
All right. Can you tell me the power meter this is from Kevin? By the way, Kevin says,
from the East Coast, yes.
Kevin has sent us emails before, and I think Kevin, I know Kevin donated to remember when we had the Rebike donor drive? Yeah, Kevin donated to that. So thank you, Kevin, so much. And Kevin says, can you tell me the power meter that you referenced in the last podcast? Have you and Mr. David Palin had a power meter episode? I could replay the whole podcast to find it, but the WAP has so many choices, I run out of time. See, there's a dedicated.
Yeah, indeed.
He doesn't want to re-listen because he's got so many other shows.
Yeah.
So Kevin, that is the Easton power meter that we talked about on the spindle power meter.
Right.
And it's just called the Cinch power meter. If you go to the Easton website, I believe it's under, and there's a tab products, and then like it's all the way on the right. I forget what the category is because they have categories, right? They have wheels. It's not under drivetrain.
You would think it would be.
It's all, but if you go to the category down the right, it's like accessories or something like that. One of the things in that list is power meter, and you click on that, and it'll take you right to the cinch power meter that Easton makes, and I don't think you will be disappointed.
No, you were very impressed with ease of use, and although you and I have not looked at or haven't used that one in particular, from our understanding, the accuracy is really high. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too, if you think about it, one of the things about power meters is you might want to use it on multiple bikes, and especially with the cinch system, it's so easy to swap this thing from bike to bike. You could easily have one Easton crank that's a regular crank, one with your power meter, and if you wanted the power meter on the other bike, just switch them. It's a couple bolts and bam. Yeah. You got your power meter on the other bike, so it wouldn't be hard to do at all. Yeah. So yeah, really good. But thanks for asking us that, Kevin, because then I'm sure there are other people wondering about the same thing.
And to answer your question, Kevin, we have not done a power meter episode.
Right. No, we have not.
We tend to purchase our stuff that we talk about. And neither one of us has dropped the cash to have multiple power meters. I use a Quark from SRAM.
Right.
Been really pleased with it. Been using it for years. I would recommend, if you go to DC Rainmaker, if you just go ahead and Google DC Rainmaker for electronics things, the guy is amazing. And all the stuff that he does. He also buys and returns. Or if a manufacturer sends him something, he sends it back. He does not keep anything, trying to take any of that bias out of it of this was free. And does a lot of very, very thorough reviews, something that I wouldn't say we couldn't do. We don't do. It is very thorough. So yeah, DC Rainmaker I would highly recommend looking at his stuff.
Awesome. But before we go on, Kevin continues. A friend mentioned the Detroit Velodrome is streaming Friday races on Facebook. I did not know that.
Yes, as well as I guess he's on the Northeast. So local public TV, Detroit Public TV also has it on,
very cool.
Yeah, I think once a month.
Yeah, and he says, I ran track in college, and we had a 1/10 of a mile indoor track that was for running. I can't imagine how it is on a bike. It is awesome is how it is.
It is.
It is. I used to be this way, too. I used to think, small velodromes, don't you really want a big velodrome where you can watch? And that's fine. But I tell you what, as far as for spectating, I'm sure it's this way for riding, too. It is gnarly, and it is full on, man.
It is. And I've ridden it a number of times.
It is steep,
it is fun.
And it is close, and everybody is in there elbow to elbow because there's just no other room, and it is full on, and it is amazing.
Yeah, picture a full on Madison race in one of those old what they call them sphere of death things that they used to have. Super bank turns and super rad racing. Yeah, they're doing a great job down there at the Lexus Velodrome in Detroit.
Absolutely. All right, we have another question from George. Yeah, you want to read that for us?
I
Mr.
do.
David?
George writes, "Dear Scotty D and Mr. David P. Long-time viewer, first-time caller here. I was just listening to the most recent BSCX.
I like that he said here. Long-time caller here. Yeah. George, are you British?
I think he must be. I was just listening to the most recent Bike Shop CX podcast and heard the viewer question about potentially setting up Di2 like SRAM. We talked about that last time.
Yes.
I've got a follow-up question that's about the same thing, but kind of different.
So it's the same but different.
Same but different.
We do that all the time.
Yeah. I would like to set up my Di2 2x setup, so I use both paddles on each lever to shift the rear derailleur in only one direction, and then by pressing paddles on both levers simultaneously, have the front derailleur shift over and back across both chain rings.
Okay. So
it's a little bit hard to understand. Wants to make it.
I think he doesn't want. He wants both paddles to shift the rear, one paddle to shift the rear, because he says both paddles to shift the rear derailleur in one direction. He wants one to shift it one way, one to shift it the other. Gotcha.
That's ETAP right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then pressing them both together, that shifts the front.
The front.
That's what ETAP does.
ETAP shifting. Yep.
Is that possible with the Di2 technology?
As far as I know, it's not.
No, not currently.
Yeah, it's not set up with that way. But here's the thing, George, get the software, download it from Shimano onto your laptop and get the interface. Mm-hmm. It will show you what you can and can't do. Right. It doesn't give you, you'll be able to, if you're taking it to a shop to do this right now, that's fine. That's great. I'm not telling you not to take it to your shop. But if you're interested in tinkering with this stuff, go buy the interface for your laptop if you don't already have it. Mm-hmm. Plug it into your Di2 setup. You can make sure your firmware is all updated.
That's what my point was going to be.
Yeah, you can do it yourself.
For no other reason,
right.
Update your firmware.
This is not difficult. It's not difficult.
No, it's not at all.
It's no more difficult than updating firmware on a soundboard, right?
Except that it's not over the air per se because you have to plug into it.
Yeah.
But let's assume that the only thing that would make it difficult if for some reason your junction box, the box that you would plug into, is somehow hidden or, whatever. You do need to plug into the junction box, but
limitation.
That's exactly.
Yeah,
you should be able to do that pretty straightforward.
Right. So find a place to plug into that, and the software, once your firmware on all your parts is updated, the software will show you what you can and can't do.
Right.
It's that,
and simple. It's actually very user friendly. It'll show you.
It's like pictures, and it's very, very simple and straightforward. And I would not hesitate a second to just get that. It's not the interface is kind of unexpectedly expensive. I mean, it's not ridiculous. You certainly can afford it, but it's not like, it should, all this is basically a USB cable with a different connection on the end. But it's a little bit, so I think it's a little bit steep, but get it anyway, especially if you're committed to Di2, you won't be disappointed. And then it might open up something where you're like, oh, wait a minute.
This is something that I want to try.
I think I want to do it this way instead, because this is actually the way it does it. So, So there you go. Anyways,
and as you're saying that it's a little bit pricey. I think it's really priced towards shops that are going to be plugging into a lot of different people and therefore need it. So if indeed you find it too expensive, it's now, as we're talking, March. Mm-hmm. Now, you still have the window's closing, but it's still early enough in the season to bring it to your local bike shop. They will spend the time with you to go over it with you.
Yeah, sure.
And they'll attach it to theirs, and
you can see it. But don't think that it's more complicated than you can understand. It's very, if you got the funds to buy the interface, just get it, and you'll be surprised at how. And Shimano, the software is free. Shimano's like, just download it. That's no problem at all. So All right, continue on, Mr. Dave.
Also, is this something I can do from home?
Yes.
On my own? It is something you can do from home, but not on your own. You have to bring the mechanic to you. No, of course. Yeah, it is something you can do from home on your own. That's what we're just talking about. My Di2 version is not Bluetooth, so I don't think it will work for my iPhone's eTube app. I'm not even sure why I downloaded that, but I can do it something from my laptop.
But can I do it somehow from my laptop?
Yeah, the answer to that is yes.
Basically what we just said.
So long as your laptop is a PC, it does not work from a Mac.
I don't think the Shimano doesn't have Mac software.
That is correct.
Yeah,
thanks, and keep up the good work. One of these years, I'd love to come up from North Carolina to ride the Michigan Coast to Coast and race at the Alma GP. And I hope Matt Anthony comes back as soon as possible.
Man.
Best, George. We all wish Matt Anthony would come back.
We all wish all three of those things would happen, George.
Yeah. And George, you know what? Come on up from your North Carolina comfort zone and ride with us at Glen Ramble.
What is it? Glen Gravel, Glen Ross, Ramble.
Something like that. See, you and I know that reference.
Wasn't there a movie about that?
Indeed.
Glen Ross. Glen Ross.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watch that movie. It's a great movie.
So if you go register for the Glen Ross Gravel Ramble.
Sorry, PT.
in Michigan, and you use the code BikeshopCX, you get a 5% discount on anything in your cart.
Anything
in
your cart.
So get out there and do that. It's going to be a fun event. I think you're going to be there.
I am going to be on the saddle.
JB was a little bit hesitant about telling people that we're going to be there because, we're so.
He doesn't want to discourage people.
I will be working the second checkpoint, I think.
Nice.
I don't remember. I don't know exactly, but one of them for sure. So, yeah, get up here, people, and come and do that. It's June 8th.
June
We would love
8th.
to see
Put that
you.
on your calendar now.
We would love to see you. So, all right, Mr. David Pellin. I
Yes, sir.
think that's all the questions we have. Is there anything else we want to talk? We're a little short. All the people.
Oh, you're making fun of me
I
again?
want all the people who complain when the show is too long
Yeah.
to now send us praise that the show was shorter this week.
There you go. Go ahead and rate us and review us on your iTunes or wherever it is that you get your podcast. These guys are responsive. I thought their shows were too long,
And they
now
shortened it
it's
right
shortened up.
Oh, one thing I did want to talk about.
Yeah.
Since we are gonna talk more gravel stuff. And speaking of JB Hancock, the PT Barnum of Michigan cyclocross, he had a suggestion of a topic, and we're going to do this next week because I think it's a really cool idea. We're going to do a top 10 list. If you're a gravel rider,
Yes.
right? What's your top 10 list of things to remember? What should you bring?
Right.
What should you check? For instance,
Talk to me.
it's let's say it's July, right? You're running tubeless tires.
You are.
When was the last time you checked that you had sealant in those?
When
May?
I put it in last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things with tubeless is it's easy to just assume, well, I put sealant in there.
Right.
It's still going to be in there,
It's
right?
still holding air. It must still be good.
Right.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there you've got tires with no sealant in them anymore. So,
And if you're going to do that, even if you are running tubeless, you're going to want to have a spare tube with you.
yes, or two.
Yes. Probably two is even better.
Yes.
And probably want a butyl tube at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't take a latex tube as your
No,
spare on a
no,
gravel
no.
ride. No. Have you ever had two punctures in one ride before?
Yeah, I have.
I did
Yep.
too. This was a long time ago when I was like 20 in the 80s. And I only had one tube. And
I told you, people, he learns from his mistakes. He makes one mistake once, and that's it.
and got two punctures.
Yeah.
At the very least, carry a glueless patch kit.
Yep.
So that if you do get a second puncture, at least you have a chance of repairing it if it's just a pinhole or a snake bite or something like that.
Because, I've had it where I got a slow leak. It got to the point where it was flat, pull it out, put a new tube in, start rolling again, not realizing, even though I had checked, but not realizing there was a little piece of wire or something
in your tire.
in the tire.
Yeah.
There you go with puncture number 2.
Yeah.
And, we're giving away the whole show, but...
I think we're going to talk about this next time.
Oh, yeah. But here it is. Bring, in addition to your 2 CO2 cartridges, bring a mini pump with you.
I know. There's like the rule that you should carry 3 CO2 cartridges. If you're committed to CO2 and you don't want to carry a pump,
Yeah, 3
you carry 3 because the first one you waste.
Yep.
Because you forget how to use it because you haven't used the valve things are different.
I know we have the sound effects things, but I'm going to throw this out there to all our CO2 users.
Yeah. So you waste one, and then you use your next one actually does what you want it to do, and then you have a backup.
Right.
So for their next flat.
That's
so yeah, CO2,
And then you break off the valve stem because the little inflator is now frozen solid to the valve stem.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, one of the greatest things ever for me was one time I had a puncture. I'm sitting on the side of the road fixing it, and some lady from across, this was like out in farm country, right? There's one farmhouse that was like across the street and maybe 50 yards down the road.
This isn't a farmer's daughter story that's going to get us in trouble.
She
is it?
comes
No.
walking. I see her walking towards me, and I'm not kidding you. She's carrying a floor pump.
I'll tell
And she
you
brings
what.
it, she's like, would you like to use this? I was like, oh my God, yes. I had my little mini pump, but we all know that just sucks.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. This is why always carry a floor pump in your car.
I do that. I also carry multiple tubes in my car.
Yeah. So that if you see a cyclist on the side of the road, we can do what, Mr. David Pound? We can take care of each other out there and help them along.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Why not?
Heck yeah, you would appreciate it. So, all right, well, we'll talk more about that kind of stuff next week. And if people want to get in touch with you, Mr. David Pellin, where's the best place to do it?
I am at Mr. David Palin on the Instagram and on the Twitter.
And you can check me out, Scott Dudenbach, at BikeShopCX. Instagram is the best place to do it now. I'm not on Twitter so much anymore, but Instagram is still the best place to do it. Or if you have anything you want to know about, whatever, just send us an email. And that is at bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
Bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
As much as we say this, people still like send me messages and be like, what's the email for the show? Bikeshopshow@gmail.com. All right, Mr. David Palin, get on out there, man. It's going to be warm. You should be out riding.
I am on my way. I'm going to ride out there, and then I get a bike fit coming up today with the Dr. T herself.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll talk to you next time.
Bye. And with that, the bike shop is closed.
Boom. All right, that is the show for this week. I hope everybody dug it. As we mentioned in the show, get on over to wideanglepodium.com. Look at the Grimpeur Bros stuff. Get over there, buy some coffee, and support the show. Support the Wide Angle Podium. Become a Wide Angle Podium member. Members are what drive this network, and we really, really appreciate it. If we're doing stuff that you're finding entertaining and you find yourself downloading any or all of the shows regularly, toss us a few bucks as a thank you. We really, really appreciate it, and it keeps things going. Also, healthIQ.com/WAP. Get on over there, check it out, look up yourself up some life insurance, not health insurance, life insurance, and get going with that. It's also a really big help. All right, as we said, we're going to be talking next week about the top 10 list for gravel grinding, getting into some gravel grinding stuff here. So look for that coming up. And I think that's it. I hope everybody is getting out there and riding. If you are getting out there and riding, be careful out there. Take care of each other out there. And until next time, the bike shop is closed.